And now, the star of the show, Jordan Rogozinski.
Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Jordan 411 Sports Show. I'm pleased to be joined with this Senior Director of Player Relations, Darren Cameron. He's been with the team for 12 years. Please welcome Darren to the show.
How we doing, Jordan?
Good, good. Good to finally meet you. Been
Yes.
emailing lots.
Yes, you too. Thanks for having me on.
Yes. For those people that don't know what you do currently for the club, would you mind explaining what you do?
Sure. So I oversee all of the public relations and media relations for the Blue Bombers. Okay. So any media inquiries, any access to the team, both players, coaches, staff, runs through our department. So any interviews, anything like that, any work with TSN, basically any media of any kind goes through us. So we're kind of the conduit between the team and the fans and the media, of course, and it's a great job. And then I also work on the player relations side. So anything that comes up with players, really of any kind, we try and solve them and make things as easy as possible for the players.
Now, how did you get into public relations?
Well, Jordan, I started, geez, it seems a long time ago now, in about 2004. I first started volunteering with CGOB Radio, thanks to Kelly Moore, who is still there, a great man. He kind of gave me an opportunity to work on the Moose broadcast on a volunteer basis, every Moose home game. So I would go to every home game and do stats or set up the interviews after the game, or really anything I could do. I then eventually got into creative communications at Red River, and through that, while I was there, I continued with the Moose, and then ended up doing an internship with the Moose, and then got on as an assistant with the Blue Bombers right before graduating Red River in 2009. So it's a long run.
Yes. 12 years or so, right?
12 years, yeah. 2009 was my first year. So I don't know. I guess 12 years if we're counting this year.
Yeah, which is, you were the assistant guy in 2000, PR guy in 2009. What did you learn about public relations in that time?
Well, I learned quite a bit pretty quickly. That was a crazy year. Creative communications is a great program for students that want to get into media relations or any sort of media advertising, marketing. So I got the Bombers 2009 as an assistant, and kind of things kind of happened pretty quick there. Kind of worked the first couple of games, and some changes were made pretty quickly. And it's funny because I always tell people that as much as you learn in school, you really learn the most in the job, and over the years, and I'm still learning. I'm sure all the media guys would also tell you that as well. So it's a constant learning process. I'm certainly still learning, and you learn from mistakes you make, and hopefully continue to not make those mistakes again.
What's the worst part and best part about your job?
Well, there are a lot of good parts. Look, I mean, I'm very fortunate to be working in this industry. I love this organization, and I love everybody in it. The ups and downs can be challenging over the course of a season, right? I mean, you're living it with these guys, so the wins are good, and then the next week a loss isn't so good. And we're fortunate to have a great media base here where they cover the team extensively and do a very good job. And there's a bunch of great people in the media on the media side. I guess the one tough part is the time commitment in terms of during the season. There's not a lot of there's no summer holidays, things like that, but that kind of all balances out. And ultimately, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. So it's a great job, and I don't have a lot of negative things to say about it. It's been an up and down ride so far. Obviously, 12 years. It hasn't always been, where we are right now. But I certainly am happy with where things are at, and certainly happy to be here.
Speaking of a busy CFL season, can you describe what you do during a CFL season? If we have one this year, what
Sure.
would you be doing?
Well, it would depend on where we are in the week, Jordan. So, what is today? Today's Thursday. So let's say we have a game tomorrow, as an example. We would have today would be the day before a game. So we would either be traveling to a road city, or we would have a home game where all of the TSN guys would be in. We'd be doing our walkthrough stuff, and all of the interviews you see on TSN the day before or on the day of a game during a broadcast are all filmed the day before the game. So you're running all that stuff. You're doing broadcast meetings with those guys. A day in this job kind of depends on where you are in the week leading up to a game. You're certainly working extensively with the other team on timelines and rosters and all that stuff. And it kind of depends on where you are in the week leading up to a game. But certainly a lot of media coverage in the city, which is great. We appreciate it, and that's kind of the day-to-day thing. It depends. The off days are more so meant to start getting ready for the next week, and depending on where you're going, what the storylines are, injuries change messaging and what you're going to say about this, and that's one of the great things about the job, Jordan, is no day's ever the same, ever. It's never, no day will ever be the same as the next day or the day before it. So it's great.
Do you guys book the hotels? Like, is that your department?
Well, so I am involved in that with our team services guy named Matt Galacco, who does a great job for us. So him and I will kind of sit down in the off season and go through. We're making notes throughout the course of a season on what we like about certain things and what we don't in regards to accommodations and travel, and then we'll formulate a plan of so we're going to Vancouver, we want to stay here. Why didn't we like it there last year? Whatever we think about it, and then we'll present it to the head coach, and he kind of makes the determination, once and for all. But he's usually pretty easygoing with that stuff. He kind of lets us make the decisions. It's really ultimately best for the players, and that's most important.
Do you have one or two stories that stand out to you in your 12 years with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers?
Oh, geez, Jordan, that's I don't know. That's tough. I mean, there's a lot of stories. I think back to obviously my first year was a crazy season. 2009 was for fans that remember that was a interesting year, right? With with the one season with Mike Yelly, and Malapo comes in 2010, and we lost a record number of games by 6 points or less. A lot of close losses, but those are tough they're tough for, whenever the team loses, everyone's a little more tense in the organization, which is, always not as enjoyable. So remember 2011 was a great year for the organization. The sold out stadiums, and got to the Grey Cup that year. So lots of good stories, some tough memories too, right? We had a tough stretch there from 12 and 13, and then Wade comes in and kind of changes the direction of the franchise, and it's been very enjoyable the last few seasons, that's for sure.
Do you knew the direction was gonna change as soon as Wade Miller came in?
Well, when Wade came in, he started making some changes pretty quickly, and I think, if I'm being honest, we were in a rough spot there at that point. We weren't winning, and things were basically the opposite of the way they are now in a lot of regards. So I think over time, when we brought in Kyle, and then Kyle had been with us, and he had taken over as the interim GM in that season of 2013, and then we hire Mike in 2014, and I think we all believed that that the team was gonna see the success that it has seen over the last few years with Mike, Mike's an unbelievable coach, and he's a great human being. And it took some time. I mean, it took some time. And the further you are in the hole in regards to how you have to turn over everything in the organization, the longer it takes to get out of it sometimes. So Mike's a great coach and has certainly guided our team in the right direction for a number of years, and hopefully will for a long time still. But yeah, I think I felt pretty confident. It's tough when it's, as Jordan, as you know, over the years when you're not winning, 1 year kind of compounds on the next, right? And 27 years goes to 28 years, and it just, I think for everybody in the organization to win the Grey Cup last year obviously was a monumental achievement, and the players and coaches deserve all the credit in the world. Obviously, Wade, was the architect of the whole thing, but he doesn't like the credit. It's those guys that they're on the field and coaching the players deserve it, and they did a hell of a job for us.
Did that, and don't lie to me, but did that weigh on you, hearing about the streak every year, now that it's broken finally?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I would be lying if I said it didn't. It was tough.
Yeah.
What was tough, Jordan, is that some of the guys that would come into the organization, it wasn't their fault we hadn't won in 30 years, right? But unfortunately, what was happening, and this is just kind of how it goes, is everybody carries that burden, and this group had been carrying that burden for the last whatever it had been 6 years prior to winning. Yeah, I mean, I think it was hard not to hear about it, and we would hear about it. We would actually speak to the players about that that type of questioning coming up leading into the playoffs, right? Because obviously it's going to come up every year, and there's not a whole lot they can really say because only a few of them had been here for a number of years. So yeah, it was tough, but obviously we're fortunate enough to not we're not going to have to hear about that anymore. So that's great.
I'm very happy about that.
There you go. You got that great shirt on too.
Yeah.
There you go.
See
Love
it?
Yes, I do.
How was that run in late November in 2019? Take me through it.
Well, it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. I wish I could relive it more than just the one time we did. It was unbelievable. We go to Calgary for our second last regular season game, and Chris Streveler suffers a pretty serious foot injury. The thought at that point was he was out for the season. Come back home, win the home game, and then go to Calgary for the playoffs. And man, it was just I think of all the three games, the playoff games, I think that probably was my favorite one. It was pretty special to see. Calgary was the team that had kind of got us for the last number of years. They've been getting everybody for a long time, and to be able to go out there and to see the guys, play the way they did, that second half was pretty memorable. And see Chris run it in the end zone there in the fourth quarter and kind of seal the game and come to the sideline. He's got some tears in his eyes. Obviously, we knew the significance of his injury and what he was doing for his teammates and the organization. It's almost unspeakable. And then the Saskatchewan game, of course, was just wild. I said to Al Couture, our trainer, with a couple minutes left, Al, I think I'm actually having chest pains here. Like this is like I was being serious. Like this is not. I was not feeling well. It was so stressful. And there were so many fans there, Jordan, too, Bomber fans, and it was pretty special to see how that game ended. The defense multiple times stood up for us. Obviously, Zach and the guys on offense did a great job as well, and it was unbelievable. And then the Grey Cup, the Grey Cup. You guys watched the Grey Cup, and it was the guys were ready. We had a pretty unique week with Chris being injured, and we had a bunch of guys sick, which nobody knows about. But we had a massive flu bug going through the team, which we didn't tell anybody about, obviously. And we go into the game and we were, it felt even in warm-ups like the guys were pretty focused and ready to go, and it was cool to see. I think it's fair to say that there was a relative domination on the offensive and defensive lines, Those guys were fantastic, and it was cool to see. You know, the night before the game, Jordan, some of my friends from high school came in, and my parents were there, and we ended up at a place called Hudson's, which is the bomber party house bar for the week. You know, each team's got their own bar that all the fans go to. And the night before the game, you know, my buddies are into the beer a little bit, but I'm staying sober, obviously. So I'm kind of watching all this, and just the place is packed with Bomber fans, and everyone's wearing their jerseys. And I just was thinking to myself, geez, these people deserve this so much, you know. And it was tough. And I remember thinking, like, boy, we need to win this thing for these people. So it was cool to see. The players and coaches did an unbelievable job, and it was a memorable run. I don't think we'll ever. It was so special. I don't think we'll ever experience something like that again in that capacity. Obviously, every single championship would be special, but the way it happened, I don't know that you'll ever see something like that again.
Speaking at Colorado, can you take me through that trade and how that came about?
Yeah. So we let me think about this here. So Monday night, about 11 o'clock at night, we get a tip, we'll say, that Jim Popp had been fired and that John Murphy was taking over. And Kyle Walters, our general manager, had called Toronto previously about Zach, and they weren't interested in trading him, and that was the end of the discussion. So late that night, we kind of start hearing this stuff that Murphy might be taking over, and that kind of opens the door to revisit the trade. Maybe, who knows? Maybe not, but that's always an option. So Kyle calls Murph the next morning, and it started. It went on for a day and a half. We didn't hear anything until about the trade deadline was 4 o'clock Central Time. We finally heard back from them at about 3:50. So it was cutting it pretty close, but we got it done, and Kyle was pretty determined to make sure we got it sorted out. And obviously, it was a significant move for the organization. Those two guys in tandem, Zach and Chris, did an absolutely unbelievable job. And Zach's a great player, and he's a great person, and he deserved that too. He's had a bit of a rough go here the last couple of years, and last year certainly didn't start that well for him, getting hurt in the first game. And what he did in the playoffs and in the last game of the regular season was unbelievable. It really was unbelievable. And that was a wild. Like I said, Jordan, that basically from that trade onwards was just an unbelievable month and a half. Just to go on the road, the first team since 2005, I think. 5, I might be mistaken.
Yeah, you're right.
Go on the road and win all 3 games. So it was pretty remarkable.
Speaking of Chris Strebler, can you describe his personality for me, please?
Well, I'll tell you this: he's one of the most unbelievable people you'll ever meet in your life. He's the definition of a good teammate for the guys downstairs, and what he did for not only his teammates but the entire organization and for the fans to play on that injury was just unbelievable. He's an unbelievable guy, really down to earth. You know what? I'll tell you, we've been obviously in contact over the course of the last number of months, and up and in fact, I actually just texted him about something just before we came on here. And he's the same guy now as he was running around in the playoffs for us last year. So even though he's in the NFL and obviously making significant more money, and he's doing really well, and we're all really happy for him. But he's a great guy, just a genuine good person, and his teammates loved him. And for a guy that's only played here 2 years, whether we see him again or not, who the hell knows? But for a guy that only played 2 seasons here, he sure endeared himself to the fans. I don't know if I've ever seen a guy so beloved. And our content people, or people that run our website and social media, anytime they post anything about Chris Strebler, it's a big reaction for them. And obviously he's still all about it. He still loves Winnipeg. He loves the CFL. He's going to be supporting the CFL for a long time down there. So it's great. We're really happy for him.
I remember that Instagram live he did. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was interesting. That was interesting. It started out as when we first started dealing with the COVID virus, we were trying to think of things to keep people entertained. So we asked them to do an Instagram live. A few other people had done them before, but our Instagram wouldn't work for some reason. The live feed wouldn't work. So we asked him to go on his. Well, it turned into a 6-hour party fest, and it was interesting. I was telling him you probably should get off there, but he was having too much fun, and it was pretty cool. He was having, I don't know if you remember, but he was having fans come in, and they were taking swigs of beer together, and he ended up being told by the Cardinals, get off Instagram. And then I ended up having to talk to the Cardinals guy to kind of give him, because they didn't know anything about him, right? They had never really met him and didn't know that he was just a fun-loving guy that was just enjoying the moment. I've talked to those guys down there since then, and they all love him too. So certainly he carries that personality everywhere he goes. But yeah, that was an entertaining 6-hour period.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Talk to me about Willie Jefferson. Like, is he that fun and loving, and he cares about Winnipeg?
Yeah, he does care about Winnipeg. He Willie's an interesting guy. When we went to sign him, I ended up actually going down to Houston to meet him. We spoke with Kyle Walters, our football boss, and the decision was that we were going to go send him someone down there to try and meet with him, because he was kind of doing his own contract stuff. So we met, and my first thought when he first walked in the restaurant was, holy geez, this guy is big. I mean, I had seen him obviously on the other sideline running an interception back against us the previous year, but standing with him was a whole nother thing. He's a big, monstrous guy. Great family. His wife Holly is a wonderful lady, and they love Winnipeg. I mean, he really embraced it here, and I think it's one of those things where he comes in, and the fans of the organization are just so top notch, and they love guys that kind of show them that personality a little bit, and Willie did that. Willie did that last year, and when he was kind of going around testing out the waters this year a little bit, I think him and I kind of had an understanding that what he was thinking, and he was hoping to obviously come back to Winnipeg, and we were happy to have him back. And he's a dominant player, Jordan. I mean, we saw him play in the Grey Cup game. Obviously, he was unstoppable. I mean, when he gets going like that, there's not a lot of people that can stop him. He was a massive reason why we won the Grey Cup, obviously, and he's a great guy to have in the locker room. He's not necessarily as loud as I think people maybe think he is. He doesn't necessarily say a whole lot, but he lets us play do the talking, and he's a funny guy, Willie. So.
Well, I'm out of stuff here.
Oh yeah, hold on. You wanted to see this here.
Yeah, I did. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, they did a really good job.
Yeah,
they did a really good job of that. So that's Darren. Darren is the ring company that did the rings. When we first won, they had Jostens, which is another company that does all the championship rings, come in, and Wade said, well, let's check out this Barron company as well. They had done the Raptors rings, so they came in and met with Wade and did those rings. They did an unbelievable job, and it's a bit disappointing that we weren't able to have everybody together to get the rings. That's kind of what you do, is you have a big dinner, and it's a bit disappointing, but I'm glad I think everybody's got them. Medlock was the last guy to get his. I heard about it every day that he didn't have his ring yet, but he finally has it now. So yeah, they're fantastic and certainly an unbelievable thing that you'll treasure forever.
Even you gave Bob Irving one. That was
Yeah, we did. So that was a surprise. We had his um, his son got his ring size from Bob's wife Day, and we got the ring set up for him, and he, we surprised he emceed. We had a little function for the people in Winnipeg, and we asked Bob to come as the MC, even though he wasn't really. I mean, he was emceeing, but that wasn't the reason he was there. And we had Mike O'Shea. Him and Mike are pretty close, and they have a very good relationship. So it was pretty emotional to see Bob get the ring, and not sure. We want Bob sticking around for a number of years still, but who knows what's that's gonna lead to. So for him to get that was pretty awesome. He's obviously a tremendous man, and to see the reaction on his face was pretty cool.
Well, thank you for being on the show, Darren.
Thanks for having me, man. This is awesome. Thank you so much.